Welcome to Real 45 with Stefan and Greg Hancock. We vibe out and have real talk, so tune in and check this out. Yeah, today is a new day. Let's seize it now and get hype. We talking about our careers, our family, and just life. Yeah, share my story with you. Inspiration like every day. Real 45, we gon' keep it live. I keep episodes on replay. Ayy, Real 45. Yeah, Real 45. Show them how we do it, man. Yeah.
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 Hey, everybody. Welcome to Real 45 Podcast, and this is our episode number 17.
And thanks to Titans of Dirt, and be sure to follow and like their Facebook and social media.
The true friend and definitely a freak of nature, longtime pal of mine. Welcome to the office. Actually, I should probably be saying thanks for letting me come to your office, Mr. Kelly Killer Inman.
I'm stoked. It's an honor to have you here.
And likewise, it's an honor just to have this opportunity. The podcast has been growing and getting bigger and better. And as it is now, my partner in crime here. I keep calling you my partner in crime, but should I just forget that, Stefan?
Nah, isn't that how it is?
He's like the lion tamer.
He is.
At the circus.
At the circus.
Does that mean he has a whip?
I do.
So I heard.
It sounds cool. It's cool to get into know you, Kelly.
I'm sorry?
It's cool to get into know you.
Yeah, well, it could get scary too, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's been a great time with Greg for many, many years in Speedway and away from the track.
Yeah, I can see that. I heard that Greg called you Killer Inman or High Inman. I even Googled. What is that?
Yeah, what is that, Kelly?
Can you explain it?
Hi.
It's just a rumor.
Hi.
He's really friendly. He always says hi to people and stuff.
The killer part came from, I don't even know, but racing it like Carlsbad and stuff, where I would end up riding through a few guys. So probably like, I think Scott Delosio, one of the very well-known photographers here, started calling me that right off the bat. So that kind of stuck.
So you were a bad guy then?
No, not at all. It's just because I couldn't make the turn in the first corner many times.
So basically, I mean, in this era that we have now in Speedway, we have air fences. But Kelly just used his fellow competitors instead of hitting the fence. He just kind of used them to slow down her.
Quite a few times, I would say.
I don't think it was that bad, but anyway, I think the killer parts is just he's been killer for many, many years. But we have to be politically correct, so it's kind of sounds weird these days to call him killer in front of people, in front of kids and stuff. They're going, what?
Yeah, especially with doing so much stuff with the kids, the junior program and youth programs and Speedway and all that. That didn't go real well.
No. Kelly's really good with the kids. That's hashtag killer.
So that's when you run over people like that, and then just to be polite or something, you're just going, hi.
Yeah.
Hi, yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, pretty much it. That came from Uncle Bill Hancock.
In case you didn't see me coming.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't run into everybody. I got run into quite a bit too.
That's kind of the beauty of it. You have to, if you're going to give it, you got to take it, right? So
yeah,
you just got to roll with it. So dude, if you look back and you think like, how old are we now?
It's only a number.
That's right. I was trying to literally think back how old we were. There's 2 years difference in us in age, right?
Yeah.
But was I about 10?
Yeah, 9, 10, because I was Yeah, I was right there about 11. I remember.
So it's even that. I mean, I just got started then. So
Yeah, you were in your Woods Marine leathers and and in Fuller, right when you moved to Costa Mesa. And I remember riding to Fullerton on my bicycle at that age. And I think, if I remember right, Sandy Corey was like, "Oh my God, you need some food. You rode all that way. I got to take you home."
You rode from Costa Mesa to Fullerton?
Yeah, to see all you guys. And Dave was with like Ronnie Corey and them.
Oh my gosh.
And then you guys had moved to on St. Clair in Costa Mesa.
To put that into perspective, on his bicycle, he must have ridden like
it's about 15 miles.
Right.
At 11, years old, something like that, which I would never allow. I wouldn't even let my 14-year-old, 15-year-old do it right now.
Even with the helmet on.
Yeah.
Helmets where you didn't wear a helmet back then. Otherwise, you would have been looked down on.
No.
So that's cool.
Not at all.
How did you guys met then? How did you get together?
Speedway.
We were drifters.
Pretty much.
You just met on the track.
No, I was already. I was going to Speedway. I've been going to Speedway every year since it opened at Costa Mesa. So I've been every year my whole life, and watching the juniors. The original juniors were like Lance King and Mike Bloom and Kasuth and the Morans and stuff like that. I remember and Bruce and these guys, Scott Webb, I think.
Whoa, man. This is Kelly's pulling out some names that are, you don't hear very often. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
There's, this is the really the early 70s. And then, my mom and dad were taking me all the time. And then we had, a guy, Gene Woods, moved in across the street from me. And he pretty much started taking me every night. My dad was driving a truck and on the road all the time. And so I went to the races with him and ended up just being around everybody. I mean, I've got photos. Well, I had some photos of me at a year or 2 years old at the Nationals with like Sonny Nutter and Mike Conley and Rick Woods at the time. Quite a few.
It's hard to remember all the names now, huh? Because you're thinking, and as soon as we finish recording this, you're going to go, oh man, this guy and that guy. And there's so many legends from that period that was just a part of our regular Friday nights.
Yeah, absolutely. I can barely remember which streets I took to work this morning.
You have autopilot in your truck, though.
Just about. So yeah, it just Greg and several other of the kids that actually we're all still real close, but a lot of them were sponsored by a shop, Woods Marine, and everybody be down there, or we'd see each other at the track, and just kind of when he was in Costa Mesa, then we just got hooked up and didn't separate until he skipped town and moved to England.
And eventually met you. So
exactly, in the end.
In the end. That's not the end. We're just getting started. What are you talking about?
That's right.
That's right.
So, like Kelly and I at that time now, I mean, when I think of when we first met, I just remember it was bicycles.
Yeah.
Pretty much constantly. Because, I mean, that was our only form of transportation. We were all too young to drive and all that stuff. So everything we did was on a bicycle. We were riding I don't remember riding all the way down to Fullerton like that. But looking at it this way, I remember riding out to Irvine to go to the BMX tracks. I remember riding easily from Balboa Island to Costa Mesa, which isn't really that far on my
But at that age, it's a long way.
Yeah, and we were, on a Friday night, if we weren't in school, maybe during the summer, we'd go from Balboa Island. We'd leave at, I don't even remember what time, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 in the afternoon, and we would ride our bicycles up to Costa Mesa, which was, 3-4 miles?
Oh, easy.
Maybe 5 miles. And get there, and then we'd suit up, go racing, and we'd take our stuff back off after the races and rip around. Usually, I don't think we rode but probably got a ride from our parents. but But I mean, Kelly was the king. We always talk about this today, but I have to say he was the king of the wheelies. We were always having wheelie contests forever, and who could ride the farthest, who could do the best wheelie. And Kelly was the guy. He could ride in circles. We'd have contests to see how many circles you could do in the streets. and to ride a wheelie is one thing, but to go in a circle and you have to steer it, and then your circles become bigger and bigger and bigger and
faster
and faster. And Kelly was the bomb, And then I see even today his son Dane he rides the wheelie, stand-up wheelies on a bicycle better than anybody I've ever seen. As like long, far, with style, and he makes it look like it's just a walk in the park. And it's hard to stand up and ride a wheelie.
That's the craziest. Yeah, it is difficult. I've always told him, sit down, you'll be able to ride for days.
Yeah.
And he just stands up and rides for days.
Yeah.
It's like that kid on Any Sunday, the opening credits on the little Stingray. He's standing up and just pedaling his ass off.
That's an idol.
That's cool. Kelly, do you have that in you today? Can you still do a wheelie?
Yeah, I can.
No, I don't ride bicycles anymore. I put around and
paint them instead.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can't. I got a cruiser to ride around the racetrack a year and a half ago, and my kid just started riding it. He just turned 15. He's been riding it to school and back. And just like a week or two ago, I asked him, "Hey, do you ride my bike to school?" Yeah, and I can wheelie the thing. There is no way. I can't even wheelie it. It's just set up a little bit different. He goes, "Oh yeah, come on out, watch." So yeah, I had to go out front, and he put me to shame. We had a big cruiser. He barely reach the ground on. So yeah, I'm sure I could get back into it, and which I probably should, just to get fit. But yeah, I haven't done it in many moons.
That's right. That's right. Well, if you do it Dane style, you get fit for sure. Standing up to do it.
Go out and do it on the dirt bikes in the desert.
Way more easy.
That's still fun. Yeah. As long as it's got an electric start.
That's cool. How about your family? Wife, kids?
Yeah, I've got an awesome wife that I actually met at Speedway. She locked her eyes on me at Long Beach during one of the either it could have been a World Team Cup or a Spring Classic or something, and we dated for a while, Lisa, and then we split up because of some stupid part on my behalf, and she was friends with one of my best friends' wives, and I would go out to his house and stay the night. She would stay the night, and we wouldn't even speak two words to each other, or I wouldn't say anything to her. And then we met up again, and we got married the night before Halloween. Almost 19 years, 18 years in October. Got married at a cemetery the night before, and had a great wedding, and we have a 15-year-old son, Dane. Yeah, my mom and dad were heavily involved in Speedway. My dad sold parts in the pits for many years. He was a mechanic for a guy here, Alan Christian. And he helped many, many people besides me when I was riding. And my mom worked the pits as like a pit steward all the way from like the LA World Final at the Coliseum. She was working the pits there, and she worked until just about 4 or 5 years ago when she started getting real sick.
Oh,
so it's been great.
That's cool. But I'm a bit curious. Why did you marry the night before Halloween?
In a cemetery.
Yeah, no kidding. How cool is that? Just Lisa and myself. It's just an awesome holiday, Halloween. we both have the same taste in so much stuff, and Halloween is just it probably is our favorite time of year. Just the whole theme of it, and we just wanted something different, and that fit us perfect, and it was absolutely amazing. It was a great one.
But what did you wear?
Well, I wore a black and red zoot suit, which real popular.
What is that?
It's a suit that was popular like in the, I don't know, 50s, 60s, kind of real. Like the gangster Chicano kind of lifestyle.
Mafia.
Real tall pants that were real high up on your waist, a long coat, big hat. Pretty cool one. You'll see pictures of it. And Lisa wore an amazing white wedding dress, and we were going to have
some tradition to it. She wore a nice white wedding dress.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And we were going to have everybody in our wedding. Originally, they were going to dress up with the Halloween theme, but we couldn't dress up or do pictures in costume at the cemetery in respect to everybody that's there. And it's a very old cemetery here in Santa Ana that we got married at. So it was just really cool stone, it was built in the late 1800s, and it just went perfect with the theme, everything else was pretty standard. Our wedding cake topper was a cool little bride and groom. And I think the groom has his tongue down her throat, and like you can see it through the ribs and stuff. But we're perfect for each other. It's been awesome. That's for sure.
The two of them definitely bounce off each other, and you can see that. I mean, if you see them together, it's their sense of humor and their personalities. It's just, Kelly, as I referred to him even in our title here, a freak of nature, and he's rad because he's got such I don't even know how to explain it really. He's just Kelly, he's always happy, and he's got some rad ideas for design, for characters, for blood and guts and, racing. He's got a little bit of everything. And even when he was a kid, I mean, right up to today, the guy he's an artist. He can draw, he can paint, he can color, he can do all kinds of rad stuff. And the designs and the caricatures that he used to do when we were kids were so awesome. We just wanted to give him a piece of paper, and he'd sit there and he'd start drawing. His tongue would be hanging out, and he would do something up in a couple of minutes. And you got this rad picture of yourself or of something. Just, Kelly, can you just do this? Yeah, no problem. Boom, boom, and do it up. And you're just like, oh, gnarly, and his wife is right there with him, and he could just do something. It would be so disgusting and like, oh, no way. So you go, that's cool, honey. It's just they're made for each other, and
that's cool. Because when I was in California, we met for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something. And I just told Greg that the feeling when I met you guys, it was like I know you before. It's like you just have this aura. How do you say it? Aura.
Yeah.
Aura, around you. It's like you're so nice people. You just want to know you more.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I'm very lucky that she's stuck with me because I wouldn't find another one like her. She supports everything that I do in Speedway. She is part of industry racing, which I promote, and I couldn't do it without her help. She is something else. And
did you say she's stuck with you, or she's stuck with you?
She has stuck with me. I'm just lucky. I'd never find another one like her. That's for sure. And we have an awesome son that he has, like Lisa said, I've met my match. He pops up off with some comments, and he's a practical joker, and he he scares the crap out of us. And he gets me every chance that he can, you know. I can't let my guard down, that's for sure. So it's
we love it too, because like Kelly, he's scared the crap out of all of us periodically, numerous times over the years since we first met him, you know. And he's a hard guy to scare. So, and you know, when you think you've got him, there's no way. He's ready for everything. So his kid, and it's pretty bitching because his kid literally is a mini me with all of the above. He is hilarious. He's got the same sense of humor. You know, it is funny. Yeah, he met the match, but
his tongue even sticks out when he's concentrating on some stuff. That's serious.
Hey, are you ready for everything?
Lost sight of Stefan. What's going on? He's getting a little excited over there.
Yeah, I have a hard time over here.
Yeah, really hard time. Anyway, one thing I do remember about Lisa too, one thing, and Kelly and Lisa, you know, like everything, we all go through good, tough times and good times and all that. I remember Lisa making a comment one time saying, well, you know, Kelly, Speedway is kind of like the other woman. And I never forgot that. Like, that's right. I mean, this guy he does so much for so many people. This is Kelly in a nutshell, you know, and he just never says no. He's always there. And it's like Speedway, he has, like all of us, there's so much Speedway in life, and always there, never says no to anything, and always there to help the Speedway people. So to go with that, that's part of the thing with their relationship too. And with my relationship with my wife too, is Speedway is the other woman. It really is. And you've got to like find a way to juggle them so that you don't overdo it. And you don't, you know, you always want to keep everybody happy, but there's so much love and so much respect for this damn sport that we seem to go out of our way. And sometimes we have to slap ourselves and bring ourselves back and realize there's more to life than just Speedway. So it's rad. And, you know, farther into this episode here, we'll talk more about the Speedway world. But Kelly he's a pillar in the sport, let alone an icon. So if we look at, he even raced Speedway.
Oh, you did? How did you start? How did you get involved in Speedway from the beginning?
Well, like I said, I've been going now for 49 years, since I'm 49. My dad bought me a junior bike, and I toyed around on that, but you know, and I was probably 13 or 14 and never raced it. Actually ended up getting on a 500 a little bit early and just started learning the game. And when I started riding, when I was 16, there was, and still first, second, third division, but there was a huge amount of riders when I was riding. And it was so difficult to get on the program to be able to race, whether you Costa Mesa or San Bernardino or Victorville or Ascot, anything like that. And if you didn't do well, you couldn't race the following week. And sometimes it took several weeks to even get back on the program. And all of us, we'd go there and sign up as a backgate reserve, and they would draw names and see who could pay to be a reserve rider if you wanted to just sit in the pits and possibly get a chance to ride.
Crazy, huh?
It was insane. There was in the 80s, I think the rider list, there's 400 numbers on the list, and there was probably 300 plus names filled out. You know, I mean, in Division I, we had a solid, probably, I don't even know, about 45 guys that were solid D1 guys. It's way different now. We don't have that, but hopefully in the years to come, you know, it'll happen. So I rode until 89, and I had a pretty bad crash at Ascot and ended up with several surgeries on my legs or one leg, and ended up dealing with that. So that's the last time I rode a bike. And from that point, I started sponsoring a few riders. And I was a mechanic for several years for some of the guys here. A guy, Scotty Brandt, that came from up north, and he was just a ripper of a junior. Totally. And he was too young to ride big bikes when he moved down here. He was helping me out when I was riding. And then I eventually pitted for him for many years. And we still have a great true friendship. And then I've helped a lot of guys as a mechanic, and I helped Greg here then, and even when he's come back for national rounds or anything like that. And it's just kind of blossomed into what I'm currently doing.
To say the least. But Kelly, even in his racing days, like being the freak of nature that he was, he always did things in a different way. He was an artist. He was a painter too. He did a lot of custom painting helmets, and we did shoes together. We did all kinds of rad stuff. But Kelly he's a true artist. But he had the most rad bright orange suit, which was back in his Gene Woods days, and then later had the most gnarly pink. Bright, as you'll see probably some of our social media photos and stuff, we're talking pink as pink can be. And it was only Kelly, besides Dwayne Pinky Blake, that got away with that.
His were like Pepto-Bismol pink. So I had neon, and I rocked it. It was good. It was a good time. For sure.
You just had that because it was a nice color, or was it?
Because it was different. It was different, you know. I was always doing stuff like that. When, like Greg said, when I was young, I was always drawing and painting, and I'd be around the house. And I remember at a real young age, I wanted his dad, Bill, was painting helmets for like Penhall and Boogaloo and like all these people, and he painted custom vans and everything. And I just wanted a Bill Hancock custom painted helmet. And he knew of my artistic talents and my desire to paint. And when I asked him, he said, bring your helmet over. And he took me into the garage, and he's like, hey, here's all the paints. Do what you want. Here's my tape, and here's my spray gun, and you're on your own. So I painted my first one. I actually still have that at home up in one of the cabinets.
You still have that?
I do. And it was some crazy awry helmet that I painted. And then I started.
Oh, we have to get that out.
Yeah.
We need a photo of that.
Yeah. And then I actually painted for quite a while, custom helmets and Harleys, and ended up doing helicopters. And I did it for a long time. Real high-end airbrushing. And thankfully, Uncle Bill showed me the way. And like Greg said, I had, John Cook had a camouflage, duct tape camouflage XR75 or something like that. And then had a camouflage suit. And I wanted camouflage, but I did it in pinks, fluorescent pink and fluorescent orange and tan and stuff like that on my bike. And so it was always something new and looking for something different all the time, you know.
Most people camouflage not to be seen.
Oh, yeah. No, mine looked like ice cream. Yeah, it was a good time.
And you talk about paint, like I said, painting shoes. I always come back to that. I mean, there was an era there when one of the manufacturers came out with a flex agent that you could add to the paint that would make the paint elastic, and it would stretch and stuff like that, within reason. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how that all came about, but we started painting our Reeboks and our Vans, and you could paint with this stuff, and it would move, so you could walk around on the shoe, and the paint wouldn't just crack and break off or anything like that. It would last for quite a while.
It did.
So, I mean, it was just painting. Started with one color, and then it was like you could make a design on the shoes, and that became pretty out of control when your friends would come back, hey man, can you paint my shoes?
Yeah, for sure. It was something else. I was that kid in school that was always drawing on everything, my folders and books and anything that I could that would stand still long enough,
The peachy folder.
That's it. Yeah, I altered quite a few of those.
Why did you stop?
Because I got real sick. I had gone to a doctor's appointment, and I had a spot on my liver, and which they said it was a non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver, and they couldn't tell me if it was from painting, from I would drink occasionally, weekends and weekdays. Not a lot.
Occasionally weekends and weekdays.
Like not a lot. I wasn't an alcoholic or anything, but by no means. But the issue I had with my liver, the doctor said that I needed to stop, and I literally I had to stop that day. And I was right in the middle of painting a helicopter for KISS FM, one of the big radio stations here in Los Angeles. So I had to get a couple of friends to help finish that. I was painting for a guy named Dick Vale up in just a few miles from here, actually. I was doing all his airbrush work. So I didn't finish that job, and it's a bummer. I was able to do a lot of real high-end work. I painted the bobsled for the U.S. Olympic team. I painted several helicopters for KISS FM, which were all Mountain Dew, Pepsi, Crystal Pepsi. Painted for Marie Callender's restaurant, painted their helicopter. Painted speakers for Barbara Streisand for quite a while, all in leopard print.
I didn't even know some of this. This is cool.
And it was just something I would actually, when I was working at my regular job, the powder coating, I would leave at 5 o'clock, and I'd go up to the paint shop, and then I'd paint for 6 or 8 hours. And then when we were getting married, that's what I did like every single day. So we paid for our wedding and honeymoon, and everything was all paid for like 2 months ahead of our wedding. So it was kind of nice. I miss it. There's a lot of stuff, big corporate design work and paint work that I had a great time. I learned a lot from this gentleman and another good friend of mine named Brad King. That's he's locally world famous in pinstriping and hand lettering. He's the one that hooked me up with this company, and it was some amazing stuff, and I'd like to get back into it, but health wise, I really can't.
Be careful.
Can you still do the design work on paper or something and make someone else just paint it? Or
I could do design work and anything like that. But honestly, I just don't even have time anymore. Although I would love to. I don't have time. Full-time job and here, and then with the racetrack is another full-time job during the season, and I go for about 5 months solid on that. But yeah, it's that's been a fun time.
Yeah, that brings us in. What do you do today? Or
I have a powder coating shop here in Huntington Beach. Powder coating is a type of paint finish. A lot of people don't know what it is. Basically, it's a baked on, very durable paint finish, and it's on everything from car wheels, all car wheels that if they're not chrome, they're powder coated. So silver wheels or black wheels or anything that you see are all powder coated. A lot of the components on cars that are in color are all powder coated. appliances, bicycles, patio furniture. We powder coat for SpaceX, for some of the big automotive manufacturers, some of the big race teams in automotive and motorcycles, and just about anything in the world that is in color is powder coated.
Did you powder coat Starman's Tesla?
No, but
just making up.
We did do a bunch of the bracketry and hardware and stuff that holds everything together and fitted the thing into the components.
Wow.
There you go, right there.
What is the name of your company then?
Specialized Powder Coating. You
have a website where we can see your work, what it is?
Yeah. Specializedcoatings.com, specializedpowdercoating.com. We do powder and ceramic, like high performance exhaust coatings, high temperature stuff.
They do stuff for me too, and have done many of things over the years with some of the ceramics and some of our performance products on the bike. So
I don't think you should have told anybody.
I don't want to add too many speed secrets, but it was just to help to keep what is it like Jeff Haywood says from Coast. I just want to help to get the smoke out faster.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's cool. But how does this work with your health then? This isn't the same thing?
I don't. The process is different than regular paint work. It's a dry powder that's applied through an electrostatic gun and baked on in an oven. And it's available in just about any finish and color that you can think of. But I don't physically do the paint work. I just point fingers and try to make stuff happen every day and keep the front door open and customers happy.
Pretty good at it.
That's cool. So if I want to have my wheels painted in like a camouflage pink thing, you can do that.
I could.
Cool.
Pretty good.
If he could take your Apple computer apart too, he could probably make that thing really cool. I mean, in your line of work, you should have a camouflage pink, bright orange Apple computer. I mean,
is it possible?
Absolutely. We've done consoles, computer housings for big gamers and some of the big companies that provide these systems. So we've done just exotic finishes, and they add their lighting and lightning and thunder and all whatever they do. But yeah, just about anything. It's just got to be able to withstand going into an oven at 400 degrees, and then it can be powder coated. Really.
Wow.
If not, I'd fake it.
You could probably powder coat you, Stefan.
Oh, yeah.
400 degrees.
Probably.
For a little while.
Your mic will be different when we see each other next time.
I would say. Yeah, so it's a good one. And then the high performance coatings are all ceramic based finishes where we do internal engine parts for a lot of high performance teams and a few teams that very successful teams in IndyCar, NASCAR, engine builders that provide for both of them. Even some of the big motocross companies, teams. So it's very interesting, something different every day,
It is pretty cool. And it's, a lot of that stuff it has to be kind of well kept secrets too now, and people aren't supposed to know too much, but it's pretty impressive when you hear or see some of the work that they're doing down here, and you see Kelly doesn't have to say anything, but every once in a while I can see the tags on the side and who it's for, and you go, wow, that's pretty rad. And what are they doing that for? I can't say too much, but can you do that for me? So no, it's rad. And their showroom is pretty impressive. I mean, Kelly's his idea for design and how he does things. If you see their office and their showroom when you walk in down here, it's like eye candy, as you would say, when you walk into a store and you got all that fresh Lördags godis, as you guys say in Sweden, your Saturday candy. It's pretty much like day candy here. So it's really cool. Your mouth starts watering when you check it out. So
first impressions, everything for a customer.
That's true. Yeah. That is true. It worked for me anyway. Kelly and I, so we've been friends for a long time. Kelly's, I call him a true friend because he's he's one of a few that have been able to make numerous trips to Europe. Between yourself, like Andy Johnson, Sean Diello, guys like that, they have made so many trips to Europe. You know, when I decided to hop up and get out of here and go chase a career of dirt spraying and speedway riding and around the world. And Kelly's one of those guys, has made so many trips over to visit me, not just because, you know, he's a friend, but also to be a part of the sport, to see different parts of the world. But it was always around speedway, again, our other woman, you know.
Yeah.
And we've shared some really good times, and that's the kind of the best part about it, is it's like I can relate to so many things with this guy, and he would mechanic for me when I would come home and race national championships, and always there to lend a helping hand whenever it's needed. So there's guys like, you know, he's been a part of my world championships. He showed up at all except for the last one. He couldn't make it, of course.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm forever grateful to have a friend like that. And, you know, there's been lots of guys that have showed up, for, you know, Jesse and Jason Chisholm and nephew Brad, who's our SpaceX little space boy that we.
That's right.
You know, we get pretty excited whenever there's something about SpaceX going on. So
have you seen him since the launch?
No, but I was having.
He's in that little suit in the roadster right there, floating around.
Oh, there was rumors that was him. He was. So we can call him Starman.
I think they were sizing him up for it.
That's my nephew that's up in the Tesla cruising through orbit right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, really, it is.
Yeah, it's impressive, huh?
Yeah.
Talk about long distance relationship he's got right now. Man, that's serious.
Yeah, it is.
Will he come back?
Who knows?
That's the thing with Brad. We just never know. I mean, he doesn't like us right now because we keep dropping out all these things about him. And I know he got mad at my sister for talking about, you know, using wipies when he went to the bathroom and stuff. So I wonder if he took his wipies with him on the trip to Mars.
That's a good question. I assume he did. It was very important to him. So
that's true. That's right. It just makes that trip.
Aliens doesn't have wipes. They need it.
What they do, they will now.
That's true. Gosh, Brad, I hope you're okay up there. Anyway, so where were we? So for you, Kelly, so I keep running back all this. Our childhood went from so many things. I have to go back because I don't want to miss anything. But then again, this could go on for days and days. So
yeah.
And Kelly's pretty good to bring up memories. But if you think about like our house during the Speedway days, you know, that we used to go between Kelly's house, hang out at his place. We go to our friends down in Balboa, the Busbys, and be down there. And then later we moved up to Costa Mesa. And my dad was always like the dude that, I mean, even today, we still look at my old man and go, Kelly's dad was the same. Everybody is welcome at their house, you know. It doesn't matter who you are. We're all equal. And if they were there, if we were all at one place, at least the parents knew that, okay, we know they're okay. My dad knew I was there. His parents knew he was our place. Kelly was everywhere. He was, you know, the freedom. But it was so cool because we could just go to Dad's house, and we had a pretty good backyard there in Costa Mesa, pretty good size for a while. We had a racetrack in the backyard. We played badminton back there. We had a jacuzzi. It was also used for target practice and with BB guns, you know, live.
Several BB gun fights.
Yes. And, you know, I mean, back in the day, I mean, why wouldn't you have a BB gun fight in the back of the house with no safety glass or anything like that, you know? But if you were a sharpshooter, it didn't matter. You just hit where it needed to hurt. And
that's right.
So you are like a wild kid.
I don't know. I just have fun. But I remember those BB gun fights. I remember we even tried to set up some rules and stuff, and it would be like, I remember Bobby Cody being there, and I would climb up onto the roof of the house and wait for this pillage to start, and he'd run into the backyard, and I would just unload a BB gun full of ammo.
He's like a sniper on the roof. And
yeah,
I don't think he got hit very many times, but he sure hit a lot of people. And, and you would never get away with that anymore. You know, you wouldn't even talk about it openly. And fortunately, Bobby's still a friend, I think, right? Does he still talk to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I talked to him quite a bit about some of this stuff on Saturday, and and about the Gunbar Rally that's coming up, which Bobby Cody won the first, So, yeah, still a great friend. So many of the kids, we've had a lot of long friendships, so it's awesome. Very lucky.
Dude, we did trips. I mean, from junior speedway days right up to present, we did trips to New York with everybody. I mean, Kelly was working a friend of Gene Woods, as we mentioned before too. Gene Woods, as some people in the speedway world, they won't remember Gene. He had a short career in England too, but was an iconic speedway rider here in Southern California, or I should say the U.S. And the guy was the first, way ahead of his time, I would say, in building his own team, Woods Racing team, basically. And he had a big, gigantic box fan, that motocross teams had for a lot of years. But Speedway, you didn't see that. Mm-mm. And Gene came up with this big box fan. He got sponsored by 7-Up, which everybody knows who 7-Up is. And he was In-N-Out Burger, which is a big fast food. I shouldn't call it In-N-Out fast food, right? I should just call it elegant, top of the range.
Yeah, it is.
Hamburgers. Yeah. Only hamburgers. That's all you can buy.
Hamburgers, fries, drinks, and shakes.
That's it. And it's like a family-owned business. They're still primarily in California. They've only branched out in Arizona or Nevada or somewhere, but they haven't really gone out. But anyway, when they first came on the scene, so Gene had this big box van painted up with his name, In-N-Out Burger.
Logos.
Logos. And I mean, he was done up this van, and Kelly was helping him. I remember Kelly driving this thing too, because he had the license before all of us too. So he was a good guy to know. And Gene would come, he was like sampling, he was giving away free product. You could get vouchers or somewhere we could get a free food or get free drinks from him, things like that back in the day when, today it's still hard to do that. It's, we have Monster for us now, which is fantastic. It's super cool. But to go back to that period of the early 80s or mid 80s or something, or maybe it was even before that, right? Late 70s, early 80s when Gene had the 80s maybe.
That was 80s, yeah, because that's I actually took my driver's test in that box van.
Of course, that's right. I have to, yeah.
So that was mid 80s.
You took your driver's test in the box van?
Yeah. So that was impressive for the driving instructor to walk out with me, and he was waiting for some little old thing, and this custom painted race van was parked out there and could barely get it in the parking lot of the DMV.
So you gave him a free double and a can of 7-Up, and he just signed you off?
No, we did the test, but he asked all about it, what it was all about. So, and I succeeded.
Oh my gosh!
Fortunately. And then, like you said, I was the first one to have the license. So that, and then my first car, I would drive everybody around. It was the
race vet.
A Chevy Chevette. It's like one of the worst cars ever produced, and I did everything I could to make it cool, and it never was. Had that for about a year, and then I actually ended up buying a little pickup, a Ford Courier from Greg's brother, Dave Hancock. And we used that for many years, going to the races and racing around town. And like you saying, with me getting my license first, I remember going over to a great friend of ours, Brian Daig, had an early 1970s Honda Civic, like the real small one, that it was custom. It was bright yellow, but it was lowered. And like, we just thought we were the thing. And we would just drive around town, just drive and drive and drive. Nowhere in particular, we would just drive. And every once in a while, we would take it back, and I'd park it, and I'd throw Brian's keys in his room. He lived up the street from Greg. And I remember him calling, "Hey, where'd you go?" We just cruised around town, like probably went to Balboa Island and, went to get a burger or something. And man, you didn't cross any grass or lawns or anything, did you? No. He said, "Man, my wheel wells are so packed with mud and grass, I can't even turn the wheels on the car." So there might have been a golf course or a schoolyard or something that ended up getting some tracks in a few times.
I remember Brian too. He had just put brakes on that thing one time, and he was so proud. And I'll never ever. And I still use the term or the statement myself these days. He's like, "Watch out, man! That thing will stop on a dime and give you 5 cents change."
That's Brian. So yeah, that was good times. I was a chauffeur many a times.
Oh, that's cool.
He's still a chauffeur.
He's just driving everything.
Oh yeah, and even that during that period, I mean, we drove across the country to New York and did some racing back there in junior speedway days. And this is probably one of the most memorable trips ever. Going back there, I mean, Kelly was back there too with Gene Woods, and there was issues or should I say events with rental cars. And you have to put every rental car to the test back in the day. I don't know, somebody was doing it. I'm not sure who it was, but there was cars that were put up on bricks, and they had the, they did like was it a rev test, or maybe they were just checking to see if the transmissions were okay or something.
Yeah, until they imploded or. And rental cars back there, they had the quickest lap times on the speedway tracks. So I hear.
Did you race anything else than speedway?
Oh yes,
yeah. I raced BMX, bicycle motocross. Did speedway, and then after that, I started racing shifter go-karts, like 125cc go-karts. And actually quite a bit in Holland and France.
Wow.
For a company that was based out of Italy. So I was flying over there and doing these European events. And
he was good at it.
I was able to race the karts here in the States as long as I was selling karts for them. So my racing was free as long as I would sell karts. And at that time, it was pretty easy to sell quite a few. Any of my friends that were racers in anything, you put them in a shifter cart on a practice track, and they would come back in and go, "Man, I got to figure out how to afford one of these. I want one." And at the time, they were like $8,000 for a cart, with a motor and everything. And I sold quite a few and was able to travel with this company out of Italy and did the European Championships at Le Mans in France. And here in karts, it's kind of Europe was so advanced especially in the 4-wheel racing. Here, you get a couple of hundred guys racing their karts, and it's their families that are with them. No spectators or anything. And my first year in France at the European Championships, probably in around 93 or 94, there's like 10,000 spectators at the track. I was absolutely in awe, and these kids are born and bred in a go-kart seat. And then I went from there, and I raced sprint cars on asphalt and dirt.
That's where you got your manlyhood.
That's some fun stuff. Raced micro sprints, like with Bobby Cody and Jim Fishback. And that was a small scale sprint car with a speedway motor, 600cc speedway motor. Raced some spec truck classes at Irwindale. Raced one for that Gene Woods had owned.
That's cool. What was a Spectra?
Spec truck. It was they still race them on asphalt, and it's like a mid-size pickup truck that is in a spec class. So their motors, everything are all sealed and all have to be very equal and the same. So it's just round stuff,
Cool.
The dirt was much more fun. Sprint cars, just like speedway, stomp and steer.
How, like, seriously though, I mean, to drive a sprint car, I haven't never driven one myself, and I keep talking I can't say keep talking, I've had a few conversations with Jeff Haywood about that too, to try one, maybe go to see Corey Cruzman or something. But you've actually driven, you've raced them. What is that sick?
They are something else. Same exact theories as riding a speedway bike, with the throttle, riding on slick or riding in a deep cushion. When I got into the sprint cars, I never even went out and practiced or anything. We built the car and I went, and my first race on dirt was at Paris Auto Speedway. And I qualified like 13th for the show, and I never even drove. But like I said, coming out of racing other stuff and then racing the bikes, it was the same thing. You just got to be not be afraid of the thing tipping over and being sideways. And it was like going slick track racing, but with a whole lot of horsepower.
Man,
Wow.
but like people say this too. When you've got that big ass roll cage and everything all around you, do you feel like you're invincible? Or do you still feel like I can't trust this thing?
No, you feel not that you feel invincible, but if you, I think if you were just getting into sprint cars or something, and it's the only thing you've ever done, it is very intimidating. Especially having to stomp on the throttle. The things are made to go left with the stagger and the wheels and everything. It's like speedway bikes made to go left. And the faster you go, the harder you ride them, the easier they are to ride or drive. It's the same thing with a sprint car. And as long as you're comfortable with going that speed and, near a wall and being sideways, and you can feel the flex and the front wheels will come off the ground in the corner. And as long as you're comfortable with that, you feel really good and stable. But I definitely could see where someone would get into it and just couldn't do it because it'd be really intimidating. It's a lot of horsepower.
Well, I've heard like Ty, both Ty Wolf and Chris Holder have tried them too. And Chris was telling me more of the story about it. He just said it was unreal. And I mean, the throttles were pretty touchy too, and your foot sits kind of, you don't like press with your toes, right? You're stomping on the throttle, right? Isn't it kind of the way you sit in the car? You sit different.
The way you sit real upright, and the pedals, they actually swing instead of a standard like accelerator pedal, which you press on, moving your foot. This is actually swinging like back and forth. It's almost like a pendulum. So it is quite a bit different, but you're really confined in an area, so when you're belted in and the correct seat that wraps you, you're really confined, and you feel real good in there.
Wow. I just heard Chris just said, dude, it was crazy because you're like suddenly when you're like just cruising around, and even when you're idling, you're idling pretty fast, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you got to get the thing going to keep it steering proper. But he says, but once you get into it, it's like, whoa,
yeah. I mean, there's 700 or 800 horsepower, a lot of rubber on the ground, and running on methanol. They're absolutely mind blowing. They are so powerful and fast, but man, they are fun. I'd love to get back in one for sure.
Oh, maybe we can do that together someday.
You never know.
We'll just do it we'll be like Jake Paul and stuff. We'll just have our own.
That's it.
Vlog.
Yeah.
You should have a vlog. Dude, can you imagine if you could back up and vlog your whole life?
Oh my God. I don't have enough memory.
Stefan he'll help you.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was involved in top fuel drag boats.
Wow.
A friend of mine that I went to school with, and those are, he was buying motors from like John Force at the end of the season, and that's what would go in the boats. And then I did, I got what else? My memory. It's the age thing. It's catching up.
Driving all those. Yeah, go ahead.
If you look back on all this racing and time you spent on the racing tracks or in the sea with the boats or whatever, can you tell one memory that is the most memorable thing that you've done? Maybe not the most fun thing, but the thing that you first come up with.
Getting married in a cemetery on Halloween. or just before
in
Halloween.
a racing car.
Sorry, I had to steal the show there.
That's pretty good. Yeah, man, I don't. Any one thing, nothing really that pops out at me. Obviously, in the sprint car, going out and qualifying for the show, which you have to qualify to be able to be race on the night. Being able to do that on my first time ever in the car was pretty impressive. Other than that, really, and my injury, which stopped me from racing speedway, that was a 2-year battle of surgeries and repairs and stuff. So that's still stuck in me, but racing overall, just, as everybody says, it's in your blood.
Yeah. How did you handle the injury that you had? Was it a tough time?
Yeah. I mean, the toughest part of it was not being able to race anything. I had, and still have quite a bit of hardware in my leg and some of it taken out. But I had 7 surgeries in a year on my right leg that I broke in 12 places.
What about your finger?
Yeah,
a gnarly finger. Maybe you had to show him on the.
When I was racing go-karts,
this was sick, man.
I had just put a new motor in my cart. We were at a friend's shop. And there's a guy, Randy Blevins, that had helped Greg for years and years, and Gary Hicks. We were at their shop. I put a motor in my cart, and I was doing some test runs behind their shop, and the thing wasn't shifting. On the shifter carts, the shifter is right behind the steering wheel. And the thing wasn't shifting. So I reached down along the motor, and the shifting arm on the motor is right in front of the small sprocket on the motor. So I accidentally grabbed the small sprocket while I was running it.
Shit.
And stuck my finger in there, and it took it off at my middle knuckle, my index finger.
Oh.
And at the time I was still airbrushing and doing all this paint work. So it affected my paint work. Airbrushing was my livelihood. That's what made my money at the time and everything. And so that was a real difficult time learning how to airbrush again and be able to control this tiny little mechanism in close confined area when I'm doing paint work. But I took part of my finger off, and there was a guy, Dan Jones, which still rides sidecars once in a while. He was there, and they dug my finger out of the chain, and he took me to the hospital. And I didn't have insurance at the time, so we went through a county hospital. It took 4 or 5 days before I could have the surgery. I ended up getting a pretty bad infection in my arm, started getting gangrene. So they had to do a surgery to correct that first. And then the surgery on my finger, where they took, did a skin graft from my leg and put some artificial meat back in to build the finger up.
So they built the finger up again.
What's that?
So you built the finger up again. So it was totally off.
Well, what it was, it took everything off of the bone.
Oh, shit.
It was like a good barbecue rib or something, So it just peeled it off of the bone.
Oh.
Like I said, when I went to the hospital, they couldn't do the surgery. This was like a Thursday or something. They just sent me home with it all wrapped up in a gauze soaked in saline, and my hand was just bandaged. And they said, change this 3 times a day, and we're going to get a reconstructive team out here. But by Monday, I started having an infection in my arm. So it took a little while, but it's still there. It works.
And in fine high Inman style, he wanted to show everybody when he had to, and
why not? It was impressive.
Back to the Halloween thing.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh,
it's not your the ugly finger.
No. It's one of my it's my pointer finger.
Oh shit!
So I got a little bit of a hook on it, and it doesn't bend well. They actually put a screw in the end in my fingertip, and had rubber bands go into my wrist attached to try to get the thing to bend. And I remember Kelly Moran had an injury on his arm, and he had the same type of thing. He went through a plate glass window. And he had his fingertips all in the same exact mechanism that I had on mine. And I would change my bandages. And I remember Ryan and Cody Brandt, at the time I was changing the bandage, and I showed them, and they were like 10 or 12, I don't know. And they're like, "Oh, it looks like a chewed up Tootsie Pop." With the stick. But that's been good. It's I've had to deal with that for a while. And actually not too long after this, within the year, I went over to Greg's, and I remember doing something on some baseboards at his house in England. And I had stuck my finger on a nail behind the baseboard, and the thing just sprayed blood everywhere. I mean, a tiny little stream, but yeah, I left some of my DNA in his kitchen.
Oh shit!
So that was in the go-karts.
But today works okay.
It's there.
It works.
Yeah, it works.
All right.
But if you take this as just another part of Kelly, there's one thing that still sticks out in my head so much about this dude is, when he got sick and he had some issues there, and then a little bit later in life, he had a heart issue, which became he had a kind of a heart issue that was a wake up call and all sorts of stuff at the same time. So he ended up, I should let him tell the story, but where I'm going with this is he ended up in the hospital for a full-blown open heart surgery. And the kind of guy he was like, he says to the doctor, correct me if I'm wrong, hey, can you take pictures?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What did the doctor say?
He just giggled. I actually, on that, I had gotten sick. I had been getting bronchitis every year for a couple of years, and I just kept working, and I never took care of it. I never stayed home and rested and did what I was supposed to. And the bronchitis turned into pneumonia, and I still kept working and doing things. And I started having a lot of issues, breathing, things like that. And it was so bad, I was going to the doctor, and they couldn't find out what was wrong with me. So I went for months, like I couldn't lay down to sleep, a lot of pressure in my chest. And we were never even thinking about heart stuff. It was all bronchitis and lungs, and just thought I had a really bad cold or something, but I just kept working. I never stopped.
Classic Kelly too. He's like, you would never know anything's wrong with him. You can see on him, like, something isn't right. You okay, man? Yeah, fine. Why? What's up? Never ever let on that there's anything wrong at all. He could be sweating bullets and everything. No, everything's fine. Why? What's wrong with you? Kind of deal. Like, so sorry. I didn't interrupt. That's Kelly.
And it's it having that mentality is not the smartest thing, and the story proves it. Like I said, I was sick and going to the hospital, and they could never find anything, and I was out to dinner with my wife and a very good friend and business partner here named Hugh Randolph and his wife. And I wasn't feeling real good. And they were looking at me, and they're like, hey, my wife said, "Man, you're turning blue." And I just shrugged it off. We ended up leaving dinner early and went home, and I couldn't breathe very well. She said, I'm calling the hospital. We're going to emergency room. And I kept saying, no, I'll just wait till the morning and I'll call my doctor and see what they say. And I did. We waited, against her advice and wishes. I waited and went to bed and woke up in the morning. We went to the hospital and I spent 8 days. They admitted me right away. And I spent 8 days in the hospital for extremely low oxygen levels. So they got that taken care of and released me, and I felt pretty good. And then started going back to the doctor with my breathing, my illness, and everything. And I had gone into the doctor's office, and my primary physician said, "Hey, I'm going to send you over to a friend of mine. He's a cardiologist that works for the heart and everything." So they sent me over to the Hoag Hospital, and they did some pictures and ultrasound, and he called me right away when I was on my way home, and he said, "You need to come back." And me and my wife went and saw him, and this doctor is the head of thoracic surgery, the heart doctor in Hoag Hospital. And what I ended up having, because I didn't take care of my bronchitis and turned into pneumonia, it turned into a viral infection in the lining around my heart. So the next day I was on the operating table, and he said, remember the doctor telling me, I'm going to have to take your heart out, and you're going to be on a heart and lung machine for quite some time. And it's basically going to be like peeling the skin off of a grape and not damaging the grape. So around your heart, you have this lining that keeps fluid on your heart and protects your heart from viruses. It's called pericardial sac. And mine had gone from about the thickness of like a plastic baggie saran wrap to about 14 millimeters thick, and it adhered to my heart. So it was like an old leather football, and my heart would fill up with blood, and it couldn't pump it out. And they said at the time, he said, we expect it could be 10 to 16 hours. And we'll keep your wife and whoever else is here updated every half hour or so. So when I went in the morning for surgery, I remember getting prepped, and that was about it. But at the time, he said, "Oh, you don't have to worry about it. As bad as this is, don't worry. 60% of the time, I'm 70% successful." So, and at first, I wasn't real concerned, even though it was a major surgery. Until he was talking about the severity of it. So I said, "Hey, can you take my phone in and take pictures and record it while you break my ribs open? I want to use it for a ringtone on my phone." And he just giggled and so did the surgery. And very
freak of nature.
Yeah, very lucky that I did at that time, or they found it at the time. They had to cut into my heart, and it kind of popped out of my chest onto my stomach halfway out, because it was under so much pressure when they cut into the lining.
Shit!
And I've got pictures of it. It's pretty cool.
You have?
I do.
So they got pictures at his request.
Yeah.
Did he get the sound?
No. But even more surprising, when they broke my ribs open and stuff, I think not only, it wasn't just me, I'm sure many people were surprised that they did find a heart. I thought it was just going to be a chunk of coal. But they did. And
every coal has a silver lining.
That's right. And that was a Wednesday, and he said Thursday I was in recovery, and he said, "Hey, I didn't record it, but will these pictures work?" And he threw a bunch of pictures on my lap, and so it's of my heart out of my empty chest. And he said, as soon as you can walk 2 laps around the floor here at the hospital, we'll let you go home. And I worked my ass off so I could start walking and get out of there. And I left on that Monday morning. I was only in for 4 days. Wow. Actually, I was putting my shoes on, and a few of the old timers, with me being around Speedway so long, and from an infant, there was guys like Scott Sivage and Jan Ballard and Danny Becker and all these guys that used to do things for me and help me out as a kid. And Scott Sivage, Doug Farrell, and Jan Ballard were walking into the hospital to see me, and I was putting my shoes on, and I'm like, man, you guys are just on time. I'm grabbing my bag. I'm out of here. They're like, you just had surgery on Wednesday.
Full-blown open heart surgery.
So it was a tough year. I was home from work for, I think, 5 months in total. And fortunately, they held the fort down for me and welcomed me back with open arms. And another thing that I forgot, before the surgery, after I was admitted into the hospital for the low oxygen levels, they had me on quite a bit of steroids. And I was on steroids for like 7 months, which is, steroids are bad for you anyway. And 7 months, like all the doctors that found out I was on them that long, they were like, holy crap, that's a long time. But one of the side effects, like my legs felt like noodles. And I was going to my cardiologist, to my heart doctor, to get a release so I can come back to work from the first incident. So when I pulled up into the parking lot, I kind of threw my truck in park, and I threw the door open, and my truck is lifted a bit, kind of off-road. I threw the door open, kind of getting out all in the same swoop, and my legs didn't come with me. And I hit the ground, and I broke both my arms.
Oh, no.
So I walked in. I tried to gather up my cell phone and all my stuff, and I walked into my heart doctor, and they had me laying on a table doing the ultrasounds. And the lady's like, "Can you scoot yourself up on the bed so I could take more pictures of your heart?" And I'm like, I can't move with my arms. I fell out front, and at the time I thought I knew I broke one. The other one was just really sore. My hands were above my head, and I told her, I think I hurt, broken arm. And she just, oh yeah, I showed her, and they were both swollen. So I walked across the street to the hospital, walked in there and said, I got hurt. They did the x-rays, and I broke both forearms. So they casted me up, and I walked back to my heart doctor's office and finished my appointment. And then I went home, and I called everybody at work, and I said, hey guys, good news. I got a release from my heart doctor from my first time off, from the initial incident. And, but I broke both my arms at the doctor's office. They're like, yeah, they thought I was kidding. They sent one of them to the house. Yeah. So I had 2 casts on for a couple of months, and that was difficult. But I was used to having casts. I broke a lot of bones when I was racing.
Oh shit.
So, it's like a Band-Aid.
Pretty much. Yeah.
A Band-Aid on it.
Usually they were never on as long as the doctor wanted. Kind of like your brother Dave. He was always injured, and we cut casts off time and time again,
Did you learn anything about that from all of these things?
Did I learn anything?
It's okay to get hurt.
Yeah. It only hurts for a little while. Pain is weakness leaving the body.
Yeah, but I mean, taking care of yourself, like don't get too sick too long.
In all reality, yes, listen to your body. I now have to be very careful. Without the lining on my heart, I have no protection from viruses or anything. So it was a big concern with our boy was 7 at the time. This was January 14th, was 8 years now. with him being in school and bringing home illnesses and stuff, but I've been very, very lucky that I haven't gotten sick enough that I had to go to the doctor, because if I get sick, I'll end up getting admitted into the hospital. So it's a tough one. Yeah, you gotta listen up, and I'm still thick-headed, and luckily my wife will keep me in line if I get sick enough that I need to be seen or admitted.
He, for the longest time, after all this heart stuff, he'd joke around and goes, "I'm all heart." I'm all heart. All right, Kelly. Yeah, I'm all heart.
Yeah, that was a brutal time for sure. And I actually, when after my surgery, the following week, 1 week after getting out, I got out on Monday, and I think on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right there, or even the next Monday, Greg was going up to Northern California to do some testing on the Speedway bike, and I rode along with him, and we went up there, and I still had
at the Gary Davis' place, huh?
Yeah, I still had even the tape on my chest from taping the wound shut, and carried the pillow with me, so when I'd start coughing, I could hold my chest together, and I ended up.
Don't make me laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit!
So
and your wife let you go. She did.
She was probably ready to get him out of the house by then.
Yeah, just go.
Yeah. Who knows?
Wow.
No, because if we talk about heart, this guy is all heart, and I mean everything he's done. You can hear just probably scratching the surface of his life in some of these things, but he's been involved in so many things. Then you also had you work with the Consolidated Parts business too, running the business or selling, exporting parts to Europe or with a company over here. I mean, the guy's got endless knowledge of so many different things in daily life, let alone racing and stuff. And he's still a guy that it doesn't matter what I need. If I can't think, I got to get something. The most recently I needed to get some glass cut for a cabinet in our kitchen. And I was thinking, where should I go to get the glass? Home Depot, maybe. I probably don't do it there. Kelly, dude, where should I go get my glass cut? Call Kelly, and Kelly's like my Google, like something. Yeah, hang on, I got this guy. You can go to this dude, call that guy. These are just the kind of things that Kelly's got. He knows. He's got endless knowledge. It's just I always go to him first. If he doesn't know, then I really got to research. Oh. So it's like maybe it's bad because I go to him before I don't look at it up myself. But the dude is just he's a wealth of knowledge. And he is all heart, because today he runs industry racing, the Speedway. Kelly's, he's a promoter, as well as many other things of running the business here with that Specialized, and then being a family man and taking care of his kid too, who's he's pretty much your right hand man. He's right there to help you with all sorts of stuff. They go desert riding, and he seems to find time for everything. I don't know how he does it, but he does.
That's cool.
Nowadays, promoting American Speedway is not in the greatest of situations in the U.S. But honestly, without Kelly, I can say myself that I don't really know what the status would be for Southern California Speedway. It's without this guy, and everyone will say the same. He's mixed and brought in so many people from different industries, and has a great contact with even the people from Monster. You name it, radio stations at all. And he's using all of his networks of people and companies to keep the sport alive and do as much as he can, working with the tools that he's got, and it's not an easy task whatsoever. But more recently, he's doing things for the kids. He's probably one of the greatest supporters of the kids projects with the Junior Speedway, to say the least, and his Gumball Rally that he promotes. And then he also runs once a year. He tends to bring in races like old timer events to bring back the old names to give everybody a taste of what it used to be like, and gets all these great legends together on one night at the track, which is, it doesn't happen very often. I think that nearly every time he has this event, all these guys go away just like thanking Kelly, because some of them probably don't even see each other for years at a time, or even decades, right?
Absolutely.
So Kelly managed to bring all these people together on one night, which, you've seen these things happen in other sports and all around, but they come and they're so thankful that he has this race, because suddenly they come back to the sport, and some of them stay in the sport, then at least come back time and time again, or support it in some way. And more recently, over the recent years, with the sad loss of Connor Penhall, like Bruce Penhall's son, who was tragically killed in an accident on the road, Kelly created a memorial event together with Bruce that they have once a year, the Connor Cup, where they honor Connor Penhall, and it becomes pretty prestigious race and gets down and dirty. Everybody wants to win.
It is. It is a very important. It's an important event to myself and Bruce and Lori and Mackenzie and Ryan and Devin. The whole Penhall family, and what it has done. We've run 3 years now, and it's our opening night race. It probably the toughest thing is telling some of these great riders that want to ride it that they can't. The whole idea of the race and Connor was such a young and kind of the guy just had this zest for life, always fun to be around and stuff. And he was a huge advocate for the youth riders. And he used to say, just let the kids ride, man. So the Connor Penhall Memorial Cup is, that's what we want to kind of follow. We want the younger riders first. We have a lot of riders that are just absolutely blistering fast still here that are getting of age, I guess you could say. But the Connor Cup, it is, I'll go through the youngest riders first, and then we go through and put together a good program. And then obviously we have kids and everything. And we have a lot of great support. A lot of, celebrities come. It's our opening night. It's a great event. Troy Lee, when Bruce and myself were talking about it, and at the time, my promoting partner, Carol Perez, she was all gung-ho about anything like this for future of American Speedway. And she really liked the idea of this event for Connor. And Bruce is extremely hands-on involved, along with a lot of the other people at the Connor Penhall, his company, Connor Concrete, in putting this event together. And Troy Lee, for the first place trophy, oddball trophies or something memorable has always been really important to me. Not just a regular trophy. And so when me and Bruce were talking about it, I had said, let's go to Troy and have them do a gold plated trophy. And I'll have one of my companies make a big pedestal, a stand for it. And actually, one of our early childhood friends, this Sean Yulo, has made this pedestal stand for me that this helmet goes in. It's a great display case. I mean, it's a $2,500 trophy, the value of this thing alone. And we've done 3 of them, and Billy Gennaro has won all 3. Which says, obviously says a lot about Billy and his riding. We've had some good competition, and it's going to be even tougher for him this year with a few of the riders. And I know these young ones are looking at that trophy and they want to take it home this year. That's for sure. It's a super great event. for in support of Connor to bring the awareness of drunk driving and being cautious and be aware of the freeway construction workers, which Connor was working on the freeway just miles actually from my racetrack, and was tragically struck by a drunk driver that went through some less than sufficient barriers, and so it was horrible, absolutely horrible. And when we do this race, it's to make sure people are aware of that and the dangers of it. Be aware of the cone zone.
Exactly. I remember I had this conversation with Bruce, and he explained it to me too about how different it is in the U.S. compared to maybe even Europe in one space. And he says, I like the way they do things in Europe and the way they block, where there's construction, that's always a lot of road signs and stuff, slowing people down. Maybe they have even more cones or something to that nature. But here it just feels like he said they don't pay attention to that enough. And it just ends up being, obviously things like this can happen. And how does it happen? How can that possibly happen in this circumstance? What happened to Connor, So like you said, it does raise awareness. And I hope that this is feeding on to the cities and to the, to the traffic people and road safety and drunk driving and everything else that I might be missing out here.
It's a terrible shame, but we make sure it's not a sad event. Everybody loves being there. It's been very successful, and we're getting the word out. One race at a time, and we'll keep doing it for Connor. He would. I think he's watching and giggling with his typical Connor snicker and some type of snide remark, so it's great. It's an honor to be able to do it and being friends with Bruce, with Penhall, so long, and him being a hero to us as kids and stuff, and to work alongside him on an event like this. It's so important to the entire Penhall family and myself, and everybody at Industry Speedway at the Grand. It's just quite an honor. It's a great thing.
Really, that as well as the Gumball Rally, the kids race. I mean, you promote the U.S. National Championship around here. I mean, Speedway can go on and on with the stuff you guys do. Industry Speedway is rad because you guys, that facility is where the setting of it. First of all, it's up on a hill. It's kind of in like a horse, or how would you describe it?
It's originally built as a horse arena.
Okay, gotcha. So you have like a roof over the whole thing, yet it's opened
on the
side, so you can see through, and you guys get like sickening sunsets in there. Some of the pictures I see from the afternoons,
it's amazing,
before you go into a race night, are just, it's like fire red burning in the background where the sun's going down. And he's got, Kelly's got in the middle, they've got the big screens too, so you can watch the races if they're videoing on the night. And he's got a massive American flag in the background, so you really feel all American when you're there, So wow. It's a really special place. And I think, even James Easter from Travel Plus over in England, he puts together tours over here every year to bring groups of people to come and watch races. And not every year, but he's been doing that. And
he is this year again,
which is rad. People are coming and they want to go to Industry because they're, first of all, it never rains in California, but at least you get, protection from the sun in there.
Yeah, exactly. The grandstands are under the roof. It's an amazing facility that even locals up in that area don't realize what we do. And we'll slowly get them. We'll hook them, they give me a golden ticket to do what I want there with Speedway, and they're in full support. My promoting partner at the time, Carol Perez, which passed away, unfortunately, and unexpectedly a little over a year ago. She was right next to me. She was the perfect one. She was very, the visual aspect of it, walking into the arena for the fans. as well as the riders and mechanics, was very important. So we work very well together, and almost didn't even need to talk about things. If I was going to do something or make something happen there, it would be the same that she would do or want, and vice versa. She'd be up in the front and say, "Hey, I'm doing this tonight for the fans," and it would be something that I would have done or wanted to do. And she knows the state, even not coming out of the industry or speedway or racing, for that matter. She knew the state of American Speedway and the how well it was doing in the 80s and into the 90s, and it just started taking a downward turn, I guess you could say, and losing riders, and for quite a few reasons. But she was right there and said, "We got to do this for the future of the sport." They were behind me, and still to the day, it's not about the money and how much money can we make at the front gate. It's the questions are, what's this going to do for the sport? Will it help the riders? So it is something else to be able to work with them, and I am very, very fortunate. A beautiful facility that the fans are just in awe when they leave, and we just try to treat the riders like you would want to be treated. When I stage events, no matter what it is, anything I do, I always take into consideration the rider walking in. If how are they going to feel, and how can it benefit them? And it's a matter of running everything as fair as we can, with printed rules, with a safe and really good racetrack. We put a lot of races on during the night. The racetrack is built almost every week it goes in. And my partner, Jose, which does the track, we usually have events in the arena on weekends, whether they might be filming TV up there, or they might have a rodeo going, or they might have dog shows, or
that's all in the same
arena.
Right,
yeah.
Arena. Wow.
The Taekwondo World Championships, the Western leg of it, is in the arena. All sorts of stuff on weekends, and it's booked for years. So come Wednesday night, these other shows are still kind of unloading on Monday. They're packing their stuff up, leaving, because they had a Saturday, Sunday show. We don't even get in to be able to build a track until Monday night or Tuesday. So got to get a wall up, get the starting gates up, and start to build a racetrack that is good and safe.
So is the dirt that's there, that's always there?
The dirt's always there, but almost every week. So out of 15 nights, 12 nights, it got ripped up, and it could be 8 inches deep of horse fluff, they call it, or a rodeo arena. So super soft. And we got to go in and level it out, and pack it, water it, pack it, cut it, and then start creating this racetrack. And he does it in sometimes as little as about 30 hours. There's nights that he just doesn't sleep. He'll be on the tractor all the way through the night, and people will show up on Wednesday and he's out on the tractor just doing the final grooming. Well, it's because he never even left, and he wants to provide the best racetrack so we can have passing at the end of the night and safe. And we do. We as long as we have good passing at the end of the night, and we'll have a lot of races, I'm happy. If there's no passing through the night, and especially at the end of the night, it's just a slick racetrack. It's a gate and go, and there's no reason for that. Fans aren't going to keep coming back.
Jose sounds like the American version of Marek Cieślak Poland, who's
Yeah.
he's not only the ever successful Polish team manager, but probably one of the best track builders around for Polish Speedway to begin with. So I'm always speaking highly of him. So like you said, when you see you guys got to do that every week and make a racetrack, and probably 99.9% of the time you do just that.
It is. It's so quick, and a lot of people don't even know that this track gets built and produces the best racing. It gets built in a day and a half.
Where's the best place for people to check out YouTube clips of this or something for racing? Because it literally is true. I've seen some unreal racing there, and I saw a great race. Was it last year with Brock Nickel when he went around the outside of Billy Gennaro?
From last to first.
It's Billy Gennaro doesn't get passed very much,
especially at industry.
Right, gotcha. If ever. And then this one night, Brock just sends it right and catches Billy off guard slightly, or just whatever line didn't go right. And it probably one of the best races I've seen in American Speedway for a long, long time. Absolutely. So it just shows you what's available there if you're willing to stick your wheel in it and stay committed for 4 laps, which Brock did. And it's cool. So I mean that racetrack is fabulous. So anyway,
it's our website, industryracing.com. You can go on there, and there's some links to our live stream, which we do a live webcast of our racing every night, and it's free to spectators around the world. So it's kind of interesting to see where people are viewing from. A lot of people will say, doesn't it hurt your fan base here? The fans are going to be there that support Speedway. If they can't make it because of one reason or another, they'll, fortunately they can log onto the computer and watch it live. And it's a great production. But we get a huge amount of followers that watch live out of Poland, Sweden, England, some of our biggest stuff. And when I held the Monster Energy, the World Speedway Invitationals in 2012 and 13, which I am again working on a future one.
Ooh, that's good news.
That we had 112,000 people watching that.
On the live stream.
On the live stream. And those are numbers that we can go to a big corporate company and say, look at this, you have to be involved with it,
How many people were there for those 2 events? Take the first event in particular.
There was about 6,500, which our arena only holds 4,200 people.
Right.
So we had 6,500 spectators, and then we had everybody in the VIP section that we created with Monster and
stacked lineup too.
Yeah. It was something else. It was absolutely something else. And I was very fortunate with help from like yourself, Billy Hamill, which myself and Billy Hamill and at the time a guy, Bruce Ehrenstrom from Monster, which now works is the manager of Kawasaki's Supercross team. We had put this whole thing together for American Speedway and to help get the exposure out there. And it was a home run. We had, I think, 7 magazines here that printed the stories. Like Racer X did 7 full page color, a story in their magazine. And I couldn't afford that, to pay for that. That would be so expensive. And it's hopefully it'll happen again. I was just at Monster and it takes a lot, because of it being during the off season, so many of the European based riders, and we want the best riders that are available. We want the guys that fans here only get to watch on YouTube or read about, so when they come here, it is something really special. So it costs a lot to do. It costs me more to put that one race on than it does for the whole season. But with the help from these great companies like Monster and Joe Parsons and stuff like this couldn't even be a thought, So,
well, think about some of the other promoters that wanted to jump in on this too, because they can see the notoriety that it gets and the amount of riders that were calling that wanted to place in the program, that wanted to be a part of this event was insane. He only did it for 2 years, but it's been on the back burners now, like gonna go again. And the people are still asking about the Monster Invitational. Is it coming back? When is that going to happen? How's it going to be? And how do I get a spot in the program? I want to be a part of this. So, which is great.
I still get calls from Europe from some of the riders, so we're very lucky, we try to treat the riders, with absolutely utmost respect, and give them a fun little vacation. We had one night where, our first year that we actually had to rip the track up the night before. And then we had a storm come in where there was fog and moisture and it made the track, as you probably remember, how grippy and
how cold it was that night.
It was probably the coldest it's ever been. And the track was so difficult. It was a tough, it was a tough night on that aspect, to have the best riders in the world, against the best riders here, that opportunity. And we had a track that was so difficult to ride.
We told everybody, it'll be nice and hard and slick. It'll be no problem at all. And it turned out to be one of the most gnarly tracks ever, huh?
It was. And we,
it was so cold though.
Fortunately, everybody got through it. And we had some insane races. The end of the night, it was great. The second year was even better. With Darcy and Antonio and Hans and Scotty Nichols and stuff, they put on some races, with Magic and Dudek and that people here. All those guys are superstars to everybody here, the fan, even to the riders here. They were just in awe, that they were even here racing.
Let alone lining up next to them at the starting line, like, whoa.
Absolutely. So hopefully, and then like you had mentioned, the Gumball Rally, we have the Gumball Rally for the Junior Speedway kids. We have the Junior Speedway, the Silver Cup Championship, which is an FIM AMA and the only one in the States, kind of modeled after the Gold Cup, which is a really good event. But the Gumball Rally is a special race. For a lot of people don't know the history of it. It was first staged out at Ken Maley's ranch back in 1983, and it was the whole the works from a guy, Kelsey Gordon's father, John Gordon, and Bill Phelps. Bill Phelps's kid was racing Billy and Kelsey Gordon, and they wanted to race a big, meaningful race for just the kids. Back at that time, you guys were the sideshow. You would get one race, at intermission, at Costa Mesa or San Bernardino or something. So they wanted to have this special event, and John Gordon's favorite movie at the time was the Gumball Rally. Let's call it the Gumball Rally. It's fitting. And they got a gumball machine for the trophy, and really the rest is history. And I'll actually provide a pretty good photo of the second year lined up. And I remember being there, and myself, you, Bobby Cody, Marshall Topping, Jordan Duncan,
Cameron Evans, maybe.
Yeah. There was, Billy Hamill. But there was I got a few photos. Ken, as you can remember, used to have some guard geese.
Yes.
And if you got around them, these geese would chase you and bite at you, And as kids, I remember us taunting these geese, and like we would wait for them. wait for the next person to come up and see who's going to run from the geese, and I've got some good pictures after the gumball. Everybody used to go up to Ken's little pool, and all the kids would play in the pool, and the adults would have some drinks and burn hot dogs for dinner. And so I didn't ride in any of the gumballs, but I was there with you or Jordan or Bobby Cody or any of the, Finch, and which now is Jesse Carden, and Warren Wilson, which is now helping and donates to the event. It went for several years, and then it had stopped, and then Billy Hamill actually kind of revitalized it, and started staging it again at the old Paris Raceway, and I actually came in and started helping him and getting people to donate stuff for gift bags, and it has just taken off like crazy. So it's a weekend event for the kids. We get the amount of support we get and donations. I get product from anybody and everybody to give to these kids. I put, usually it's about 50 gift bags together, and there is some years that these gift bags are they've been worth $1,000 or $1,500, with all the gear and cash.
Yeah. The kids come home with money from the gumball rally.
Yeah, it wasn't like that back then. I remember packing gift bags, for the gumball rally or the junior nationals, and it had like a Vans off the wall sticker and a can of Justice Brothers chain lube, and probably some Pup and Taco coupons or something. That was it. But the kids loved it,
You're aging us now.
Yeah. And now the gift bags, it is a full job just dealing with that. We have a tremendous amount of support from other riders, from fans, from sponsors. I don't ask for it. We have a few guys that they go online, social media, and say, "Hey, I'm sending you $100 for the kids," and I've collected $10,000. And it's to run this event. The industry doesn't charge me to run the event for the kids. So it helps pay for the event itself, and it gives them a purse to ride for, and whatever I can't get donated in goodies, I go out and buy stuff. So people out there can donate, they can PayPal me. Every single bit of it goes to these kids.
And you know what's rad? I mean, I've had numerous conversations with Kelly about this, and every year we end up in a quick talk over something and say, Kelly, you should start an account, a fund, and start doing this. And all this money that keeps coming in, he always gives money back all the money gets spread out to all the kids after the race. And I'm like, man, this is not a good thing, because now my kids think that they're going to get paid to go racing, right? So they're learning early that you get paid to do this.
Yeah.
But in the end, I have so much respect for Kelly, because every time I say, you got to start an account and get some of this money in, and then you can have it, delegate some of this money to certain things, maybe have a big party at the end of the year, or do this, do that. But, this guy doesn't want anybody to feel like he's ever taking anything from it. And this is my opinion. But if he takes all this money and he's got to do it, then you got to have paperwork. There's always going to be somebody, sadly in the world, the envious people out there that take it a little bit too far. They think that there's going to be some money made, but nobody has any idea, even if he should be paid to put this race on. Because if you understood the amount of time, effort, money, and, time away from his own family, let alone his businesses that he's involved in, that this guy puts in, it's crazy. But he takes all that money that comes in and either buys something that he knows is going to be good for the kids, that they can use, that they need, or he just breaks up all the money and splits it up into the envelope so it's distributed throughout the group in some way. So it's awesome. Crazy what he's doing. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And this gumball rally event, which I got to do quite a few of them as a kid growing up too, when my dad took over running the Speedway for years, and then seeing what they've brought back now, I want to be a kid again. I want one of those goodie bags. Everybody wants to go to the gumball rally. And I swear that those kids, you shouldn't swear, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Huh.
I mean, these kids will do anything to win a gumball machine. The winner of the event, of each class, they win a gumball machine filled with gumballs. And that gumball machine seems like it's worth a ton of gold.
It is. There's something special about it.
There is. Sebastian Palmese, the kid, has won the junior championships and whatever. The only thing he hasn't won is the gumball rally. And before he turns 16, I got to win a gumball.
Yeah. It is, and
it's intense.
Sebastian's really his biggest competition is young Colton Hicks. Mm-hmm. And Colton now has moved into the 500s.
That's right.
But yeah, that gumball machine, that is something that every kid wants, the event is just something else. Like I said, the people that donate, they know that every penny that is given to this event, or they hand me, just at the races last weekend, I'm there, and I walked out of there with like $800 in cash, and it's people that just came up and said, "Here, this is for the kids." They know that every cent of that is going towards either prize money or gifts for them, or things for the event. It's absolutely 100% for them, and I'm very fortunate with the people that I've met in Speedway and everything. I get people from Europe that donate, that will PayPal me money. Dave Parker from Gilman,
Australia.
In Australia, he has already paid, and it's all in support of the kids. These give them the really cool event that they deserve. And we usually have 40 to 50 kids from junior speedway into peewees, and the weekend kicks off with awards and a dinner on Friday night and Saturday night. We have the big kids gumball rally, which all the fast, like the Division I racers, actually donate their prize money to industry so we can run the event for the kids at no cost. It's a free event for spectators. We just want to do something special for the kids, and this race is really something else to me, because of being there at the first one, and then all the way through, and then jumping on board and helping Billy Hamill when he fortunately got it going again. And it just gets better and better every year. It's a super fun weekend. The kids leave there. They're playing in the pits and then racing and then playing afterwards. And
it's almost like there's tears in their eyes when the whole event's over on the Sunday afternoon, and they got to go home and it's all finished, because it's like a year-long process to build up to the gumball from the time that it stops. And it's so much that goes into that one day for the kids, right? And then that day is over, and I can remember it myself. But when the day is over and everyone, it's time to leave, right? It's a Sunday afternoon, and everyone's got to go to school on Monday. The kids do. Everyone's back to work. You can just see the kids are like, man, the gumball's done. It's like, till next year. It's almost like all of it suddenly it's an anticlimax. It's over with just like that. And they got to go home and then start planning. But even my son, Bill, who doesn't ride a speedway bike all year long, decided to go practice last week at Steve Evans's race, take a few laps, because the gumball's coming up. So that's the only one race he does a year is the gumball rally. And then he doesn't want to ride anymore. But I think he just does it for the goodie bag, maybe.
Hey, whatever.
When is the gumball rally?
It's a weekend. The actual race is on March 11th. It's March 10th and 11th weekend. It's a Sunday afternoon at noontime. I really try to make sure that the first division riders from the night before, we try to have them there in the pits and, just patting the kids on the butt and letting them know, we're here to support you. We believe in your dreams. This is a great sport to be in.
Amen.
I think the thing that would top it off for me is it's a free event for spectators. And, as unimportant as some spectators think the event is on a Sunday afternoon, like Greg was saying, this is a race that every junior speedway rider and their families are talking about all year long. And I would be over the moon if we had 500 people in the grandstands to cheer them on. We announce it, we webcast it, we treat it like there's 1,000 people in there.
So this one will also be live stream, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, you guys put this in your calendar for sure, the March the 10th. And
just go onto our website, Industry Racing, and we are on live stream throughout the year. And you'll see some really good races. The Gumball, our opening night is the Connor Penhall Memorial Cup, which this is the 4th annual. We have a special race called the Junior Kurtz Memorial Cup. We have an AMA National Round. We have the Junior Speedway Silver Cup. We have this year will be the 43rd or 44th annual California State Championship, which finishes off our season. It's a great year. It's a great schedule. I wish we could do more. We run basically during the summer when school's out because of the area that we're in,
which is good.
And hopefully it'll just slowly keep improving. I got to keep working my butt off to build American Speedway back and make it the cool sport. We have a lot of other entertainment and motorsports to compete against to lure riders. There's no practice tracks. There's one that opened up last year and it's been great. It's been years since we even had a practice track. So
one that's open like 5-6 days a week or something.
Exactly. And you can do all you want. There, guys talking about building American Speedway and I'm doing this for it and it's great for the sport. Nothing's going to do anything until there's a place for kids and young guys to go out there and learn how to skid that bike around, motocross, you can go and ride 5 days a week within an hour from here. And there's shops everywhere. Fortunately, we've got Bill Cody that has a shop and now Billy Hamill opened up his shop in Northern California, which will be a huge asset. But not having a practice track, it's just like we're spinning our wheels in mud, and Milestone. And now I have a second track that's being built right now at Paris Auto Speedway.
Yeah, this is your new project, right? So
want to make
just one more thing for Kelly to do.
Yeah,
make a place to that kids can go ride and it's affordable. And we want to actually have races there. And then I'm not sure if you even saw the release this week online, but there's also a third track in the works, which is
I'm hearing the rumors.
Actually pretty close to us. And that's a whole motorsports facility. So as long as we have some practice tracks and guys can go somewhere to learn, the sport will start to grow, but it's going to take a number of years. Get the young kids involved and stay in here. I'm in support of everybody that has their dreams and, Brock and Gino and any of these guys that want to go to Europe and Luke and stuff. I'm 100% behind them.
I just think they should always come back.
Absolutely.
Like the old days, like we always, when we took off, we always had to come back at least once. Actually, I think it was 2 times a year.
Yeah.
And the national. So I think that's important too for guys like Luke and the ones that are going to go there. That when they make that move, they should have to come home and come compete. And I think they all want to. They need to come back and keep their feet.
They do, and it's just with speedway in Europe or England, or it's obviously a lot different than it was back then too, where promoters had to cover that cost, that expense, and not only of them missing any meetings at their with their club, but the flights and equipment. So it is difficult, but I think that's important. It's it's important that they don't get sent off too early. American Speedway needs these young superstars for it to flourish. If we build the tracks and have these young riders that put on exciting races and people want to come see and stuff, we've got to have it. We don't have the amount of riders right now to ship everybody off and it not hurt us severely here. When I was riding and when you were here, if a couple of guys left to Europe, it didn't hurt the nightly program. There was another guy that was as fast, filling that spot.
I was happy to see that guy go because now he got a shot.
Yeah, where now it is, it's difficult to get 16 fast, like good D1 riders together on a weekly night. But I'm in complete support of anybody in their dreams. I helped and you came on board with getting Sebastian Colton into the 250 World Championships. And that's been a year and a half in the works, just before the event, a little over a year. And if they want to do it, I'll be there for them,
Yeah, likewise. We're the same. So it's like all the stuff when you brought that on last year and we finally managed to put it together, it worked out awesome, right? And now you can see the snowball effect. And now it's like the cool thing for all of us is people are calling us and going, how can we be a part of this? The guys at the races, they want to be in the team. So everything you're doing and what's happening that now, and when I'm hearing about these other two projects that are in the making, that just says that American Speedway is on the up. There is light at the end of the tunnel. So even in Sweden, background of the team I'm riding for this year, they have even expressed numerous times about sending some of the riders from their team, younger riders over here to practice now in this time of the year. Where can they go? Can they go to the industry? Can they go to Costa Mesa, whatever? And I said, well, you have Paris where they can practice, and you have Milestone, which is open 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
Which is great. You can just go out there for, you pay your $30 and you can go ride all day long, and they water and grade the track periodically. And it's awesome. But then they can get out here, they get some practice in, they get a little sunshine, and they can ride virtually every day. So it's the perfect warm up to the start of the season. And you don't start off just trying to blow the cobwebs.
Yeah, for sure. It's practice. I mean, the more time on the seat, the better,
Totally.
Just laps after laps after laps.
And even my kids are now putting together, thanks to Travis Horn family and of course and Owen Williams family too, those guys, they've all come together with some ideas to promote the Gumball Rally.
Yeah,
now they're doing some really cool little things for Valentine's Day for their kids' schools. They want to try to invite kids and families from their schools in different areas to come to the Gumball because it's a free admission day. Come and just check it out, support it, buy a hot dog, donate some money, or buy some merchandise, and just maybe get your kids involved in riding Speedway too.
Absolutely. It's something else. It's a great event. Everybody looks forward to it.
Kelly, we're coming to the point in the podcast here where we have 45 seconds that you can answer. Like we could rapid fire questions at you, or I don't know, maybe Stefan has something in mind. No. We tend to, as Dane says, wing it when it comes to 45 seconds. But unless Stefan has an idea of something, because he throws random stuff on me sometimes, and I'm like, okay.
Sometimes I can. Or if you can just tell us something that you haven't told us, or that people doesn't know about you in 45 seconds.
Cool. Wow.
I mean, I know I have one thing here that always strikes me. I don't know if you want to elaborate, but I mean, you've done so many rad things in your life, and you're so creative. You've been an artist. You've been a racer. You're running businesses, import, export, everything. But in high school, you were also into ceramics.
Sure was. Pottery, made vases and some.
Is this on 45 seconds?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Was something else.
Wait. So you were into ceramics. Did you made like flower pots and stuff and?
Yeah, and statues and quite a few different useful items.
I mean, is there anything you haven't done?
Well, there's plenty that I haven't done. Yeah, there is actually. I haven't been to prison.
That's a good thing. Have you made like a trophy or out of the pottery things?
You could probably call them trophies. I've seen some of his trophies.
Yeah, they were trophies to me. That's for sure. That was in high school. That was a long time ago. I don't have much memory from that. Trophies have always been a big important part of racing and anything that I've done.
It's all about winning.
That's right.
That's cool.
Wing it.
Wing it. Everyone winning today. Hey, Kelly, we thank you for taking your time on a busy day like this, sitting in your office at Specialized Coatings here and sharing some of your awesome memories and, emotional ones too, obviously, periodically. So for us on this podcast, it means a lot, right, Stefan?
Oh, yes. It's perfect.
I'm super excited. It's an awesome thing that you guys are doing, and I listen to them all. They're really cool, and I think it's something different and good for the fans, and this is just going to take off like crazy.
We sure hope so, and we hope that we're going to be able to talk to you more, because you can see that these things can go on and on and on, and more stories come up, and what you're doing for American Speedway. Obviously, this is my life too, and Stefan he's a Speedway nut, even whether he knows it or not. He's a complete Speedway fan. It always comes back to the nuts. But
nice.
Anyway.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time.
Anytime.
So nice. And thank you for listening, and be sure to listen up next week again. And we will see at Podbean, iTunes, Acast. Give us a follow and like and review us. Also be sure to follow us on Facebook, and see you next time.
You got it. Next week, we got a really cool episode with Luke Becker talking about the American future. This is I managed to catch up with him in a recent secret training session here, and we had a good chat. So there's a lot in the making for this kid too. So tune in next week.
Can be good
next week.
You're good.
Bye.
Peace out, everybody. Remember, grin to win and keep it sideways.
Peace and wheelies.
Welcome to Real 45 with Stefan and Greg Hancock. We vibe out and have real talk, so tune in and check this out. Yeah, today is a new day. Let's seize it now and get hype. We talking about our careers, our family, and just life. Yeah, share my story with you. Inspiration like every day. Real 45, we gon' keep it live. I keep episodes on replay. Hey, Real 45. Yeah, Real 45. Show them how we do it, man. Yeah.